Lagos State quelled fears over rumored coronavirus case in the state, says test proved negative. Bill prescribing death penalty for kidnappings becomes law in Nasarawa State. On the international scene, coronavirus still dominates health stories around the world as Norway and Pakistan record first cases. And in sports, NFF President Amaju Pinnick pays condolence visit to family of slain Remo Stars footballer Kazim Tiami.
This is ANN News.
I am Lucy Adeyemi. A state high court in Lokoja has nullified the October impeachment of Kogi former Deputy Governor Simon Achuba. Justice John Olorunfemi says Achuba's removal from office was a violation of the Constitution. The judge also said the State House of Assembly did not follow due process in nominating Edward Onoja as Achuba's replacement. Lagos State has allayed fears that coronavirus has hit in Lagos. The state government says tests have proved negative. State health officials said the Chinese citizen who was suspected to have contracted the virus has tested negative to the infection. State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, reassured Lagosians in a statement and said vigilance levels are very high. He also said more measures are being adopted to safeguard the state. The fear surfaced when a Chinese citizen who arrived in Nigeria from China 7 weeks ago had gone to a local private hospital complaining of fever. Professor Abayomi said the hospital followed State Health Ministry instructions, isolated the patient, and reported the case to the ministry. The patient was then transferred to the isolation unit at the State Specialized Infectious Disease Hospital. His blood samples were tested at the virology laboratory where results came out negative. Professor Abayomi has appealed to citizens not to post unverified information. Kidnappers in Nasarawa State will henceforth face the death penalty. Governor Abdullahi Sule has signed a death penalty bill into law that prescribes death penalty for anyone culpable of kidnapping in the state. The law explains various offenses that relate to kidnapping and the punishment for those who contravene the law. They include life imprisonment and the death penalty. Even those who did not physically participate in kidnapping but whose buildings or property were used to carry out the crime would forfeit the property or buildings to the state and also face 20 years in prison. State Commissioner of Justice and Attorney General says his ministry will ensure kidnappers face the full force of the law. Director General of the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria commended the state government for promulgating the law he says will curtail kidnapping that has become a menace in the state. Many are saying the construction work at the second Niger Bridge has become a source of inconvenience and pain for some communities in Anambra State. More than 4,000 households in Iyola and Okwekwe areas of the state are said to have been thrown into darkness for nearly 3 weeks now. The construction project is said to have affected the underground cable that powers the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company's 11 kV feeder in Iyowa, which has been out of supply since early February. EEDC Head of Communications Emeka Eze told newsmen on Wednesday his company was not notified before the construction company began excavation of the cable corridor. As a result, its cable locator was not deployed to properly identify the location of the cables. He alleged that Julius Berger Construction Company's negligent use of its heavy equipment damaged its cables. A 3 billion naira road construction in Ekiti State has come to a halt when the state government revoked the contract for the work. The state says Charvet Nigeria Limited, the construction company that was handling the rehabilitation of Ayedun Ikun Otun Ekiti Road, has exhibited gross incompetence by not abiding by the terms of the contract. The state says Charvet has not even yet mobilized to site as required by the contract that was awarded in early January. The state says it won't prosecute the contractor because it has willingly honored the revocation order and surrendered the project for re-award.
Coming up, African news. Algeria becomes second African country to confirm coronavirus case. And later, international news. Norway, Pakistan record first cases of COVID-19.
Welcome back. This is ENN News. Now to African stories. Algeria has become the second country in Africa to confirm coronavirus case after Egypt. The country's health ministry says the patient arrived from Italy last week. To ensure Africa's readiness for any incident of the virus on the continent, the African Union held a training workshop in Abuja to strengthen COVID-19 preparedness. Reporter Kelechi Emikalam has the story.
35 member states from the African Union are represented here at this training of the Trainers Conference. It's the first of its kind by the African Union and other international partners. It's all in preparation against the possible outbreak of the COVID-19 epidemic.
WHO, Afro, WHO, EMRO, Africa CDC, West African Health Organization, we all come together, to decide on how best to approach this situation, share information. So what are the key challenges? How do we jointly address this? So that has actually helped a lot. And of course, we should not forget that politically too, our officials, the decision makers have also seen the need to invest in health.
The training involves health workers and officials at the various points of entries. They're building capacity on infection prevention and control to strengthen COVID-19 preparedness across Africa. Key players are being equipped with necessary information in case of any eventuality.
And therefore, if this virus is going to enter any country, it is going to come through a point of entry. It is going to fly in or come in via ship or come in via a road border, a land border. And therefore, if we have people who are vigilant, who are trained, who have a high index of suspicion, that is our first barrier that we have erected. Then the second part is, if somebody becomes sick with the coronavirus, he will either be sick in his community and remain in his community, or he will show up in a health facility. And if you notice, most disease outbreaks are amplified around health facilities.
WHO declared COVID-19 a public health emergency of international concern. So this is part of the AU's proactive measure to strengthen their preparedness for prevention and response.
In tough times, friends are expected to stick together. That is ringing true in Tunisia's relationship with China. The country says it is confident in China's economy despite the coronavirus outbreak. Adnan Chaouchi reports from Tunis.
Financial analysts assert that China has enough expertise in managing and anticipating any crisis.
China is Tunisia's economic partner. We import goods, cars and technology. It's a great nation that will overcome current difficulties. The production will resume stronger, better and faster with the usual guarantee of quality.
Tunisian businessmen and investors say they will always believe in China's economic miracle despite current difficulties.
We have strong economic ties with China. I personally import 70% of machines from China, where some factories have stopped production while Tunisian businesses are waiting for the normal resumption of activity.
The Chinese ambassador to Tunisia stressed that China is able to contain the COVID-19 fallouts and achieve its economic goals for 2020.
China follows the right strategies and the necessary budgetary and financial assets to impulse economic development, as well as a strong leadership to concentrate China's resources to face any difficulties or epidemics.
Experts assert that Chinese economy will maintain its growth rate and help stabilize global growth after the end of the COVID-19 crisis. Tunisian economists, health professionals and experts at the National Committee on New and Emerging Diseases have voiced confidence in the Chinese government's ability to overcome the situation and to find a cure for COVID-19.
East Africa is still reeling from swarms of locusts that are invading many countries in the region. Uganda is racing against time to prevent the destruction of its food supply by locusts. The insects can devour a whole region's food supply much faster than the people themselves, so it is of major concern in the region. Reporter Isabel Nakaya reports.
Locusts are racing in the north of Uganda, forming yellowish-brown blankets on tree tops. Farmers in northern Uganda are worried the insects could cause a devastating impact on their crops as they prepare to plant in the next season.
The word is, they are saying these locusts, when they land down, they may lay their egg there. So when they lay egg, within 2 weeks, they will start hatching there, then another locust will come out again.
The migratory insects can live for up to 3 months after laying eggs. And once their eggs hatch, the young locusts can form even bigger swarms. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization warns swarms could more than double if nothing is done fast. The Ugandan army is trying to fight them using motorized spray pumps. The locusts are settling high up in the trees where they can't be reached despite efforts by the military to spray them. And when the wind blows, they are swayed in different locations, further complicating the situation. Locals have now resorted to shouting to scare the insects away.
In our place there, we tried to chase them. Yeah, we burnt fire. Yeah, so they went. Some were telling children to stone them so that they fly to go away.
The FAO says this is the worst outbreak in decades. 7 East Africa countries have been affected by the locust infestation. The Ugandan government says it will begin aerial spraying soon, but the insects are spreading fast, worsening fears of a possible food shortage in the months to come.
When we return, international news, Norway, Pakistan record first cases of coronavirus. And later, sports. NFF President Amaju Pinnick pays condolence visit to family of slain Remo Stars footballer Kazim Tiamiyu.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. On the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump has assured Americans on Wednesday of the country's readiness for the coronavirus. He said during a news conference the spread of the virus in the United States can be avoided. He said Americans have a low risk of the virus spreading in the country. Just a day before Trump's pronouncements, the American Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has said it is very certain the virus will spread in the country. It said it is not a question of if, but when the virus will spread in the country and how many Americans will be severely ill. The U.S. has currently recorded 60 cases. 3 of those cases are persons who had been in Wuhan, China, where the outbreak began. 42 of them brought the virus into the country after being on a cruise ship on which the virus sickened hundreds while it was quarantined off Japan. The virus has infected more than 80,000 persons in at least 37 countries. The first coronavirus case has been recorded in Norway. The country's public health agency, FHI, reported on Wednesday one person had tested positive for coronavirus. The agency says the infected person has been isolated at home. Agency Director Lynn Vold said the person was not showing symptoms but was tested after returning from Hubei province where the outbreak began. The agency also said the person did not appear ill and would very likely not infect others. Meanwhile, Pakistan also registered its first cases of coronavirus infection on Wednesday. Health officials there are linking the first 2 cases of coronavirus in the country to the outbreak in neighboring Iran. The officials said one patient had just returned to the country with his family from Iran. They say the patient and his family have been isolated to determine who else among them might have been infected with the virus. Pakistan announced on Monday it will temporarily shut its border with Iran, where 19 persons out of nearly 140 patients had died. Foreign pharmaceutical companies in Shanghai have joined the fight against the COVID-19 epidemic. In addition to donations of cash and medical supplies, they are also active in special research projects and in making sure non-virus medical needs are being met. Reporter Yuwen has more.
German pharmaceutical firm Boehringer Ingelheim's Shanghai headquarters has donated 1 million yuan in cash and 6 million yuan worth of medical supplies to Hubei province. The supplies include masks and protective clothing from Germany, as well as 4 million yuan worth of mucosolvan, an anti-pneumonia drug which has been shown to ease some of the symptoms of the coronavirus. It is being used in 13 hospitals in Wuhan.
In order to make sure of a sufficient supply of mucosolvan, the pharma company's factory in Pudong has been working around the clock since February 2nd. Other than a direct help to the individual patients, the company is also teaming up with a research institute to explore possible vaccinations against the virus.
On our corporate side, we're working with the German epidemic institutes to help to find approaches to how to fight COVID-19. Well, from Boehringer Ingelheim, we are not in human vaccination, so not from our side in the direct research, but I know that a lot of companies are doing that, and if we can support these kind of companies or institutions, we're doing so.
AstraZeneca China is looking out for patients who may not have COVID-19, but whose treatment for chronic illnesses has been impacted by the drain on medical staff and facilities created by the virus outbreak in Wuhan. Some kidney dialysis patients, for example, may not for now be able to find the medical staff needed to provide their treatment on time. AstraZeneca is donating kidney medicines to make it possible for them to receive some treatments at home. The first batch of that medicine arrived in Wuhan at the end of last week, and at the same time, the company has been bringing its normal pharmaceutical production back online.
When the first few weeks, certainly there was some degree of slowdown, but we saw in the recent weeks, there's really been a pickup. For example, in our manufacturing facilities, the first week, February 3rd, we already had a partial resumption of work, which picked up even more by the week of February 10th. And currently, we have our factories working at almost 85% capacity now.
The Shanghai Commerce Commission told a news conference over the weekend that foreign businesses across the city are close to resuming full operations. The commission said 80% of the firms in key industries, such as biopharmaceuticals and integrated circuits, have restarted production.
Still ahead, sports. NFF President Amaju Pinnick pays condolence visit to family of slain Remo Stars footballer Kazim Tiamiyu.
Welcome back. This is ANN News in Sports. Nasarawa United FC are exuding joy and excitement as they trounced Enugu Rangers 2-1 on Wednesday to climb out of relegation. Chief Coach Abubakar Arikia says the solid miners will consolidate on the win, which had suddenly changed the club's fortune. He said they hope to maintain their strive and record more success in the course of the league season. President of the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, Amaju Pinnick, has carried out one of the most difficult chores of his office, visiting the family of a slain footballer. In the company of Remo Stars President, Honorable Kunle Tsunami, Ogun House of Assembly member Adeniro Ademola, and Ogun Football Association Chairman Ganiyu Majakojomi, Pinnick paid a condolence visit on Wednesday to the family of Kazim Tiamiyu, who was shot dead in Shagamu, Ogun State, on Saturday. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I'm Lucy Adeyemi. Have a pleasant evening.